Hello and welcome to the tutorial for Nico the Crumb Cat. We're going to begin by crocheting the head/body, so grab your yellow yarn and your hook and let's get started. The first round has already been made for you, so gently pull it out from the center and let's take a closer look at everything. Arrange it so that this loop is on the right hand side. This is where we're going to insert our hook. We want to tighten it so it fits nicely around our hook, not too loose, not too tight. If you're confused about how to hold your yarn, there are many ways to hold it to help you keep a nice tension. You can wrap it around your pointer finger a couple times, or my favorite way is to bring it up between my pointer and middle fingers, then gently hold the loose yarn against my palm with my ring and pinky fingers. The main thing is that you feel comfortable, so don't overthink it too much. Now let's look at this first round and figure out what everything is. The first round is made out of 6 single crochets, which we'll call stitches, and the top of them are these little V's. Starting from where our hook is, that's 6, 5, 4, and the stitch marker is the third. This is the second, and this is the first single crochet. So our first round is basically done. To finish every round, we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch of the round and make a slip stitch. So remove the stitch marker from the first one. Then insert your hook under both of these loops of the stitch. And when you're ready, you're going to yarn over, which means to place the yarn on top of the hook, then pull it back through the stitch. And you should now have 2 loops on your hook. To finish making the slip stitch, all you need to do is pull the first loop through the second loop on your hook. And that's our slip stitch done. Now we're going to chain 1 to get ready for the next round. To make a chain, you need to yarn over and then pull it through the loop on your hook. And that's it. And now we're ready to begin round 2. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch around. Increasing means making 2 single crochets in the same stitch. We're going to make the first increase in the stitch we just made a slip stitch into. So insert your hook into the same spot. Then yarn over and pull it back through the stitch. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. To finish the single crochet, yarn over again and pull it through both loops on your hook. That's our first single crochet. To help you keep track of the beginning, grab your stitch marker and insert it into the single crochet that we just made. Just insert it under both loops of the little V. And now we need to make 1 more single crochet in the same stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull the loop back through the stitch, yarn over and pull through both loops. And now we've made the first increase. We're going to repeat that 5 more times now, making an increase into every stitch. So when you're ready, remove the stitch marker from the next one and make 2 single crochets in it. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops. And now make another single crochet in this stitch. A little tip is to let your hook do all of the work for you. When you've made your single crochet, avoid pulling or tugging the working yarn. This is going to make the stitch really tight and it'll be harder to insert your hook into it later. Just let the hook do all of the work for you. Continue making an increase in every stitch and I'll meet you at the end. I'm going to speed this up, but you can adjust the speed in the settings below to slow it down if you need to. I just finished making my last increase. You should have made 12 single crochets. So quickly count and make sure that you didn't miss any or make any extra. If you have extra, then you may have worked into the slip stitch, which we don't want to do. We're always going to ignore the slip stitch in chain 1. We'll only be working into the single crochets. Once you're done, we're going to finish the round with a slip stitch and chain 1. So remove the stitch marker from the first single crochet, Then insert your hook into that stitch and make a slip stitch. Yarn over and pull it through. Then pull it through the loop on your hook. And now chain 1, yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. Great job, everyone. Now it's time for round 3. For this round, we're going to single crochet in the first one, increase in the next, then single crochet, then increase, repeated over and over until we reach the end. So let's go ahead and insert our hook into the first stitch where we work the slip stitch and make a single crochet. Don't forget to place your stitch marker in there so we don't lose track of the beginning. And now we're going to increase in the next stitch. So make the first single crochet, and then insert your hook in there again and make the second single crochet. Now make 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and again increase in the next. I'm going to speed it up now, but feel free to slow it down if you need to, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So I'm working into the final stitch now, which is going to be an increase. And as always, we're going to ignore the slip stitch and chain 1. Once you're done, do a quick little count of your round to make sure you have 18 single crochets. And we're going to remove the stitch marker from the first one and make a slip stitch in it. And then chain 1 to get ready for the next round. Round 4. For this round, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the first and second stitches, and then an increase. Then we'll repeat that 5 more times. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, over and over again. So let's make our first single crochet. And don't forget to pop the stitch marker in there. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to increase in the next stitch. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we'll do another increase. Now continue like that until you reach the end of the round, where you'll end with an increase in the very last stitch. But I'm going to speed this up now and I'll meet you at the end. So I just made my final increase. You should have made 24 stitches in this round. And as always, I'm going to remove the stitch marker, slip stitch to the first, then chain 1. Now it's time for round 5. This time we're going to do single crochet, increase. So let's make the first one. Don't forget your stitch marker. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Perfect. And then work 1 single crochet in the next. And now we're going to increase in the next one. And now you're just going to repeat that 5 more times. Keep going, and I'll meet you at the end where you should be making an increase in the very last stitch. Awesome. So you should have made 30 single crochets this round. And what do we do at the end of every round? Slip stitch and chain 1. For rounds 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, so 7 rounds total, all we're going to do is work 1 single crochet into every stitch around. Keep making sure that you're ignoring the slip stitch at the end though, but super duper easy. So let's insert our hook into the first stitch and make a single crochet. And don't forget your stitch marker. And then 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And that's all we're doing in every stitch. I'll do a couple more with you, and then I'll speed it up and meet you at the end. Once you've made your last single crochet, remove the stitch marker and slip stitch to the first one and chain 1. And now you're going to make 6 more rounds of plain single crochet all the way around. I'll do a little check-in after each round so you can see how it looks. Here's round 7. Here's round 8. Here's round 9. Round 10. Round 11. And round 12. Great job, guys. Now we're going to insert the eyes. So take your stitch marker and place it in the loop on your hook. We're doing this so that our project doesn't accidentally unravel. You should have 2 eyes and 2 backings for them. So first we want to position the head so that this seam, all these little dashes from our slip stitches, is positioned in the middle in the back. We're going to use this to help center the eyes. Once you have that lined up, grab one of your eyes and we need to find rounds 6 and 7. So start at the circle at the top. That's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to insert our eyes between these rows. We want to have them spaced out about 3 stitches apart, 3 of these little V's. So insert your first eye right between the rows and right between the stitches, and then grab your second eye and count 3 stitches. Make sure you can clearly see 3 stitches visible and adjust as necessary. And now just give it a look over, look from all angles and make sure that they're centered properly. And once you're happy with them, take one of the backings and place it on the back. You should feel it kind of click into place. And once you're done, you can place the backing on the other eye. And now you can remove the stitch marker from this loop and reinsert your hook in it. And for round 13, we're going to work a single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. And then we're going to do a decrease in the next, which means we're going to turn 2 stitches into 1. So let's make our first 3 single crochets and then we'll learn how to decrease. For the decrease, instead of inserting our hook under both loops, we're going to insert it under only the front loop, the loop that's closer to you. And then we're going to insert our hook into the front loop of the next stitch. Just like that. Now you can yarn over and pull it back through both of the loops. And then just finish the single crochet as normal. Yarn over again and pull through both loops on your hook. Now make 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And if you're confused about which one is the next stitch after the decrease, it's the one that's completely untouched and you can see both loops of it very clearly. And now it's time to do another decrease. Insert your hook under the front loop of the first one, then insert your hook under the front loop of the next one. And finish as normal. Yarn over and pull it through. Yarn over and pull through both loops. I'm going to speed it up now, but go ahead and repeat this 4 more times and then I'll meet you at the end. Great job, everyone. The last stitch you made should have been a decrease before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1. And you should have 24 stitches now. So go ahead and do a quick count just to make sure. And now we're on round 14. For this round, we're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to make a decrease. And we'll do that 6 times until we reach the end. So I'll do the first ones with you. So make your single crochet in the first stitch, and then a single crochet in the next one. And now we're going to decrease. Perfect. Repeat that 5 more times and then I'll meet you at the end. Awesome. The last stitch you made should have been a decrease before slip stitching and chaining 1. and you should now have 18 stitches. And we're so close now. Great job, everyone. And here's how it's looking now. Super cute, but before we move on, we need to stuff the body. So place your stitch marker in the loop on your hook, and we'll start stuffing. So grab your stuffing, and we're gonna firmly stuff the body. Start by placing it at the bottom, and then try and line the walls before placing the stuffing in the middle. Check it out from all angles to see if there are any spots that look deflated, and stuff accordingly. You also don't want to put too much stuffing in it because it can cause your stitches to stretch out and show the inside. And this is also the only part that requires stuffing, so feel free to use all of it if you need to. Once you're happy with it, do a little squeeze test just to make sure it keeps its shape, and then we'll do the last rounds. Let's start round 15. For this round, we'll single crochet in the first stitch, then do a decrease. Single crochet, decrease, all the way around. So let's make the first single crochet. And now let's do a decrease. Then a single crochet. And another decrease. Continue repeating that until you reach the end. Your last stitch will be a decrease, and you should have 12 stitches at the end. Here it is, great job, and let's finish with the slip stitch and chain one. Round 16. To finish the head, all we're gonna do is decrease, decrease, decrease all the way around. So insert your hook into the front loop of the first stitch. It might be a little bit hard to do, so try and wiggle or shimmy your hook in. You can also use your nail if you need to. And then insert your hook under the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over and pull it back through. Yarn over and pull through both loops. Place your stitch marker in there and then continue by making 5 more decreases. I'll speed it up and I'll meet you at the end to finish it up. Great job! You should now have 6 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always, and then we're going to fasten off. So grab your scissors and we're going to cut the yarn, and we want to leave a nice long tail that we're going to use to close up this little hole. Perfect, and now use your hook to pull the yarn up and through the chain 1, and then give the yarn a little tug to tighten and secure the knot. Now grab your tapestry needle and thread the end of the yarn through it. I like to put the end next to the hole and use my finger to kind of rub it through. To close the hole, we're going to insert our needle into the front loop of all 6 stitches. So find the first stitch. You might have to kind of shimmy the knot to the side to find it. Then insert it under the front loop only, going from the outside to the inside or away from you. And that's our first one done. Now insert your needle under the front loop of the next one. That's the second one done. And keep going through all 6. There's 3. 4. 5, and 6. Now's the fun part. Pull the yarn, and like magic, the hole is going to tighten and close up. Great job, everyone. I love that. It's so satisfying. And now we're going to hide the yarn inside the body. So insert your needle down into a nearby stitch, and then bring it out through a random stitch on the other side of the body. We're going to repeat that a few times. The yarn's going to tangle up inside the stuffing and prevent the work from coming undone. So insert your needle back into the stitch it just came out of, and bring it out through another random spot. Do that a couple more times. And then you can trim the excess and use your needle to pull it back in the body and hide it. Or you can use your needle to kind of shove it back in there. And that's it. Great job, everyone. Let's get started on the next part. Keep your yellow yarn out, and now we'll make the arms. We need to start by making a magic ring. I'm going to show you my favorite way to make one, but if you're an advanced crocheter, then feel free to make it the traditional way. Take the yarn with your right hand, and you want to bring it up between your pointer and middle fingers of your left hand. And then use your ring and pinky fingers to hold the working yarn against your palm. Now pinch the tail of the yarn with your middle finger and thumb. Right now, it should kind of feel like you're going to snap your fingers with your pointer finger sticking up. Now take the tail and make a loop that goes under the point that you're pinching and repinch it. Just like that. And this is our magic ring. Now take your hook and insert it into the ring with your hook facing down. Your middle finger should also naturally come into the center of it to help you with tension. Hook facing down, grab the yarn and bring it through the ring, then twist the hook towards you and up, and chain 1. Great job. Now we're going to make 5 single crochets into the ring. And don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 5 single crochets, then you can pull the tail to close the ring. And as always, to finish a round, we need to slip stitch to the first one and chain 1. Now for round 2. We're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and single crochet in the last stitch. Super easy. So let's make our first single crochet. Perfect. And now increase in the next stitch. One single crochet in the next stitch. And now an increase in the next one. And finally, one single crochet in the very last stitch. You should now have 7 stitches, and when you're done, we're going to slip stitch to the first, chain 1, and then we'll fasten off. So we want to have a nice long tail, and we're going to use this to sew it to the body later. And once you've cut it, then you can use your hook to pull the yarn up and through the chain 1, and then just give it a little tug to help tighten and secure the knot. And now repeat those 2 rounds and make 1 more arm, and then we'll move on to the next part. Still using the yellow yarn, now we're going to make the little feet. We need to begin by making a magic ring. So bring the tail up through your pointer and middle, hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky, pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, and then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and repinch it. Now insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, then twist towards you and up and chain 1. Now we want to make 4 single crochets into the ring. And don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 4, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, we'll slip stitch the first and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. But obviously these stitches are pretty far apart, so insert your hook into the first stitch and then pull the yarn nice and tight to help bring the stitches together. Then you can yarn over and finish the slip stitch as normal. Great job, and then chain 1 and we'll start the next round. For round 2, all we're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch. Easy peasy. Let's get started. Once you've made your 4 single crochets, we're going to slip stitch the first, chain 1, make sure the arm is right side out. You want the tail from the magic ring to be tucked away on the inside of the foot. Cut the yarn, leaving a nice long tail, and we're going to use this to sew it to the body later. And then just pull the yarn up and through the chain 1 and give it a little tug to tighten and secure the knot. Great job, everyone. Follow these instructions and make 1 more foot, and then we'll start the next section. So we're using the same yarn, and now we're going to make the big old cute ears. We need to begin by making a magic ring again. So bring the tail up through your pointer and middle, hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky, pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, and then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and repinch it. Insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, twisting towards you and up, then chain 1. Now we want to make 5 single crochets into the ring. And don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 5, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, slip stitch to the first and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. Now for round 2, we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and single crochet in the last stitch. Super easy. This is just like our hands, so I'm going to speed up through this and then I'll meet you at the end. You should now have 7 stitches. When you're ready, slip stitch to the first, chain 1, and we'll begin the next rounds. For rounds 3 and 4, so 2 rounds total, all you're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So make 2 rounds of 7 single crochets. Don't forget your slip stitches and chain 1s, and I'll meet you at the end to fasten off. Here it is, so cute. Now let's fasten off. Leave a nice long tail, and we'll use this to sew it to the body later. And then just pull the yarn up and through the chain one and give it a tug to tighten and secure the knot. Repeat all of that and make one more ear, and then we'll move on to the final part. We're gonna make the little fish that he's holding now, so grab your white yarn and we'll dive on in. We need to begin by making a magic ring again. So bring the tail up through your pointer and middle, hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky, pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and repinch it. Insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, twisting it towards you and up, and chain one. Now we want to make 3 single crochets into the ring. And don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 3, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, we're going to slip stitch and chain 1, but these are pretty far apart. So once you've inserted your hook into the first stitch, pull the yarn and bring the stitches closer together, then finish the slip stitch as normal. And chain 1. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch around. So let's make our first increase. Okay, perfect. Now make 2 more increases and I'll meet you at the end. You should now have 6 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. Round 3, super easy round. All we're gonna do is single crochet, single crochet, single crochet all the way around. 1 single crochet in every stitch. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you at the end. You should still have 6 stitches, and you should have done your slip stitch and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. Round 4, this time we're going to decrease, decrease, decrease. We're going to turn these 6 stitches into 3. So let's make our first decrease. Wiggle your hook into the first front loop. And then the second. Yarn over and pull it through. Then yarn over again and pull through both. Now make 2 more decreases. Awesome. Once you've made your 3 decreases, then finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Round 5, the final round, we're going to increase, 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 and turn our 3 stitches back into 6. And this is going to be the tail of the fish. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you to finish it up. There it is. How adorable is it? Once you've made your slip stitch in chain one, then you can grab your scissors and cut the yarn. You want to have a bit of a tail that we're going to use to sew the fish tail closed, as well as sew the fish onto his hand. And then use your hook to pull it up and through the chain one. And now you can pull the yarn to help secure the knot. And now you can set this aside and we'll finish it up in the next part when we sew everything together.